Hey YouTube, in this video, as you can see from the playmat, we're going to be doing the deck profile on Maelstrom. So Maelstrom is probably one of my favorite Aqua Force decks, mainly because it is the first Aqua Force deck that I ever built, and I remember back when Maelstrom was actually pretty decent. So, like way back in the day when everyone was playing VN and MLB, and then he came out and he was kind of underwhelming because everyone was still playing Dotay and MLB. But I was playing this guy, and yeah, I'm glad that he's gotten more support. Enough support to the point now where Maelstrom is kind of like Overlord. He's sort of like his own thing, as opposed to just being a Blue Storm. But the nice thing about him is he can benefit from Blue Storm cards. I think what they did with the Incessant Waves clan booster was they kind of made Blue Storms for Legion, and then Maelstrom was Maelstrom, so it is what it is. So anyway, as for the deck, I'm running, whoops, this is kind of a weird order, but we'll start off with it like this. So for Blue Storm Dragon Maelstrom, so a break ride in the current meta isn't so wonderful. I mean, you can look at Phantom Blaster Dragon, that break ride, and even Dragonic Overlord, the break ride. So he's kind of coming out a little bit late, in my opinion. I feel like he should have came out back when Lambros came out. I think he would have been fine. But whatever, he's here now. He's a lot better than the original Maelstrom for one reason only. The only reason is because of his Wave 3 effect. When his attack hits on Wave 3 or more, you can search your deck for a Maelstrom and reveal it and then put it in your hand. So he searches out Stride Fodder, essentially. Him and the starter combined, it just helps you thin the deck. It just helps you get the grade 3s. Because in early game, most players, they don't want to guard your grade 3 Vanguard, especially with the booster behind him because it's really annoying. So it's relatively easy. So we run 4 copies of him so you can maximize the ability to use that effect. And also because of that effect, and because he's a break ride, I no longer run the Mako Shark, the limit break enabler in this deck, because he's not really needed. There's only really one card. If you were running the I would say if you're running the break ride form of this guy, so the original one, so basically this guy, then you can run the limit break enabler, because I feel like that is a very good combination. And then next I'm running 2 Glory Maelstrom. Again, he's LB5, so there's no reason to run the limit break enabler in here. It just kind of gets in the way when you could be running other cards. Limit break enablers don't help the break ride that much because you're still having to re-ride over him, so it's still kind of a relatively slow thing where you could be striding as well. So and then the other grade 3 is Maelstrom Reverse. This is probably one of the longest lasting reverse cards in the current meta, in the current format, because most reverse cards don't really see any play anymore, outside of like the Glendios deck and some other stuff. So like Lucia Reverse, you might see like one of her teched in a Pale Moon deck, a Silverthorn deck. But other than that, Maelstrom Reverse, really good card. Always been a very annoying card to go up against. And this is really the key card that would benefit the most from the limit break enabler. Besides the original Maelstrom, which actually benefits more in my opinion because it doesn't use any counterblast when it attacks forth. Yeah, this card at 3, so we run 9 grade 3s because you have lots of ways to search Maelstrom cards, so you can get a lot of Stride Fodder. Because of that, you don't need to run Stride enablers in here, so you can run more of like an aggressive rush type build. So for grade 2, for Rascal Sweeper, he is basically Bassel for Blue Storms, for Maelstrom specifically. So he swings 11k as the first battle. And yeah, and then he can exchange with the thing behind him. So it's the classic style. I actually focused on that play style with this deck, but I did choose to run Blue Storm Marine General Spyros. So he is basically Tile Assault for Blue Storms. He has Special Counterblast as one Blue Storm at the end of the battle that he attacked, and you can restand him if you have, well, if it's wave 1 or 2. It has to be wave 1 or 2 for him to be able to restand. You can't do it on 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever. So, and its effect is once per turn as well. But he does help you get 4th battle along with Rascal Sweeper, so that's already 8 cards. 8 ways to get 4th battle. And then 3 Gregarios. Just he's in here for a main reason being that because of Rascal Sweeper, because of the play style of having to flip the position, you need lots of cards that can hit the Vanguard without a booster. So that's why we're running Gregarios for that reason. He works really well with Rascal Sweeper. Moving on to grade 1s, I am running 4 Wheel Assaults. He helps you get 4th battle as well. He exchanges the position of rear guards to any 2 rear guards on the field to help you get extra attacks. So that bumps us up to like 12 cards that can get 4th. And then for Blue Storm Battle Princess Theta. So this is actually a very interesting card. I like this card a lot. A couple things about it. It's very good at rushing. And it works extremely well with Rascal Sweeper. So that's why I would definitely recommend running 4 copies of this. You don't need the LB4 Mako Shark because if you want to rush your opponent early, that play is really good. And one thing I like about all these rear guards is that none of them are GB1 restricted at all. So, and then 1 Hermes just as an extra backup card that does that. Like I said earlier, with Rascal Sweeper plays, you're going to need a lot of cards that can attack things, and force the opponent to guard them without a booster. So Hermes may not be able to hit a Vanguard unless it's a 10k Vanguard, but he can like second attack into a rear guard, into an interceptor. So still pretty good. In fact, she used to be this guy. So if you wanted to run Mako Shark, I would recommend not running Glory Maelstrom at all. Just run 4 of the Break Ride and 4 of Reverse. Maybe you can run, if you want to run 9 grade 3s, you can run 1 Glory. That way you have more, less, Mako Shark becomes less of a useless card in that sense. Because if you have to ride Glory, Mako Shark is completely pointless in the deck. So that's the main reason why I wouldn't run him in here. And then, 4 of the new Perfect Guard, Blue Storm Shield, Homerus. So this guy can work with the Legion Blue Storms as well. Because he's Blue Storm, he's not Maelstrom, but Maelstrom's Blue Storm, so you can use this guy. So I put him in Maelstrom because this deck has no way of Soul Blasting. I'm not running High Tide Sniper, although I thought of using him. Ultimately, I decided not to use him because the deck can grind out wins really easily. So this thing can use up the Soul if it needs to. But it's a nice new Perfect Guard that they have, which has a really unique effect. So that's the grade 1s, and the 2s and the 3s. For the trigger lineup, it's the standard 4 draw. So Blue Storm Battle Princess, Doria, 4 of the Missile Trooper Blue Storm, 4 Despina. She is really good with Glory. A lot of people probably know about that unblockable attack. And then 4 Kitchen Sailor, because it's Blue Storm. So all the triggers are Blue Storm because Spyros requires Blue Storm Counterblast, so I don't have to worry about that being a problem. And the star is Marios, mainly because he's still really good at just helping you deck thin and just annoying the opponent and forcing the opponent to guard, so their hand doesn't really build too much. So Marios still, I think, is the best starter for Maelstrom. But having said that, because of his effect, you can essentially not run Marios if you don't want to, and you can try a different starter like Andre or I don't know, Officer Cadet Eric. I probably wouldn't run. That's a waste of Counterblast. But I don't know. You can try some other stuff. I still think Mario's the best starter for Maelstrom, though. For the strides, it is 2 Blue Storm Martial Dragon Admiral Maelstrom. He is usually the first stride, or yeah, he'll usually be the first stride, but just to force the opponent to guard or whatever early. Otherwise, Tidal Bore is still a thing, Aristotle still a thing, and then 2 Lambros, and then 2 Thavas. So I feel like Thavas and Lambros are a lot more useful than Maelstrom. If you wanted to, you could actually run three Maelstrom, because he only has to activate his cost when it hits. So if you run 2 copies of him, like how I am running, the bad thing about it is if they block it, you don't unflip the other one. So now, but because there's only 2 copies, the next time you stride Maelstrom, you won't be able to even activate his effect. So that's why 3 cards of this would probably be more ideal. And 1 Tidal Bore, and then these guys, any combination of these guys. And because he retires, he retires, and Maelstrom's Break Ride retires, Reverse retires a lot, so they don't really need to use Aristotle. So they could even potentially run Socrates in here as well. But I would recommend 3 of the Maelstrom if you really want to use the Maelstrom Stride. And then just these guys. So that was my Maelstrom deck. It's still one of my favorite Aqua Force decks. It's a little kind of slow, grindy style play. It's really interesting because it has potential to rush. And at the same time, it can also grind out games with Maelstrom Reverse. So let me know what you guys think of the new Maelstrom deck. And hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.